So David, you build an abstraction layer that tries to mimic the native components. What do you think?
This whole damn thing. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree in that I think obviously Facebook had a lot of mishaps. I think it doesn't matter what language you program your app in. Like if the notification badge is wrong every single time you open the app, like it doesn't matter how you built it. Somebody just screwed up somewhere. But at the end of the day, I think I work with a lot of startups and bigger and smaller, and I think a lot of times I'll recommend web technology when it's cheaper, faster, easier. If a company has the resources like Facebook, I will often recommend native just because it gets you that extra pixel precision or that extra FPS.
So sort of the conclusion it feels like we're getting from the panel is that the whole conclusion some people try to draw, that native is better, is really the wrong conclusion, that they just simply built a bad app. And the next version of the app was better. The fact that it used native maybe wasn't the key ingredient. Maybe it was just the fact that they took the user experience more seriously. Sort of dovetailing with that, there's a sense that I get from some people that HTML5 is the inevitable winner in mobile. My old boss at Palm, John Rubinstein, has this quote where he says that, the future is web, and some people don't get it. They're kind of stupid for not getting it. It's just where the world's headed. And if you look at Gartner's prediction is that by 2015, something like 80% of the entire world's population will be writing HTML5 apps, and native will be, just a. So is that true? Is HTML5 the inevitable winner, and we all know how this is going to play out, and this native thing is just a short-term sideshow? What do you all think? Abe, you're looking at me pretty intently.
Yeah, no, I'm very passionate about this. So I go back and I look at history, and if we go back 10 years and look at the state of development as a whole, everyone was building either a native application or they were looking at possibly touching on the web. And the one thing that the web has is resiliency. And I think that when you look at what HTML5 is becoming, it's becoming an application platform. It's no longer just a rendering engine. So as a result, I feel that history does repeat itself. No one on the desktop thinks about building a native app anymore. I think everyone delivers their app over the web. So as a result, if history does repeat itself, and I do believe that it will, that the app there'll be a reason to build apps, but the overwhelming majority of applications will be web applications.
I'm going for HTML6. That's actually.
Is there ever going to be an HTML6?
Yeah,
or is it
just after HTML5.
They might skip it.
Yeah, they should. I mean, that's going to solve it all. I mean, I think they're both important. I mean, that was probably the conclusion I would get from the Facebook outside of the experience was important. Like Andre said, I mean, probably the mobile website's just as big. In my opinion,
it's actually a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's much bigger actually. Yeah. It's way dwarfs, right? The native side. Now there's more engagement and transactions supposedly on the native side. So I think that it's a balance. You need both. I mean, I think in any technology evolution, you sort of, it's gradient, it's not black and white, right? And so I think that's what's happening here. It's sort of new use cases are getting introduced, new paradigms that we've never had before, smart fat clients at the edge. Will that change again? Yeah. Is HTML5 important? Yes, they're both important, I think. I don't think we try to simplify technology and make it .NET versus Java or Linux versus the PC. I think it's both probably.
Okay, so you see a heterogeneous environment far into the future.
Yeah, when we have a homogeneous technology environment, I would like to know about that.
Yeah.
We just don't have that ever in any enterprise in any technology stack.
Okay. Kevin, I'm interested in your perspective. You guys are obviously making big native investments. Do you view these as sort of temporary and you'll all migrate to HTML5, or do you think native's going to be around for a long time to come?
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, we're lucky, we're a big company, we have the resources, so we don't need to get into that debate. And so for right now, native is definitely better for us. We can do things in native that we can't do in HTML5. So we definitely have mobile web, it's an important channel for it. We can integrate easier with our marketing activities on the web, web marketing. But in terms of the pure user experience, there's no question that native wins right now.
David, Andre, you guys want to dive into any opinions?
Definitely. I mean, I would say, as a developer, I would love HTML5 to win or to get there, that like peak that I feel like we've been chasing for like 4 years. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to take the platforms to let it win. To me, it's things like Canvas or WebGL or CSS3 like are all great and lovely for web developers, but I think the biggest thing that happened to the web that was an improvement since the original iPhone shipped was add to home screen. I think that was the only thing that's like one feature, and it came at the OS level, that said, here's a way to put web apps side by side with your native apps. They have an icon, they have a name, you know, and even on the desktop, like you can't expect regular users to use a static site, whatever B is. But, you know, I think that's the hard part. I think the idealist in me wants to, and I think I do have an optimism that the technology is or is quickly approaching equal in terms of a good experience you can deliver. But I don't see how it's going to equal apps to users the way that they've been trained over the past couple of years.
So if we rely on the platform, and that means we're relying on Apple and Google through Android, part of me worries that they maybe don't have the incentive to come in and give them these great experiences. You do add to home, and you launch the app, it has to reload it every time. It doesn't, like
it doesn't use the JIT; it uses the interpreter or the.
Well, I guess the other flip side of that is it is like users are demanding a good web experience, right? Because more and more people are using the browsers on their mobile devices, so it is a competitive advantage to Apple or Android to have a better mobile experience, right? So they're both largely based on WebKit. Android now is going to be shipping with Chrome, which is a lot better than what they had previously. Every time iOS releases, Safari gets a lot faster. So, I mean, they are investing pretty heavily in that.
But I think on that layer of here's how we can put websites side by side with apps, I think that add to home screen was like the last, big step they took.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too is like offline experiences in a mobile browser is just not there yet. And with PhoneGap, we're always trying to bridge the gap between how much can we do in HTML and JavaScript and HTML5, and then when do we have to jump to have like a native API call. Like for example, like geolocation, we implemented that ahead of the browsers. Now that's in the browser, we just fall back on what ships with Safari, and that's a good way to go. You can add native plugins, but I think. Yeah, getting that total feature parity is a challenge if you're just relying on the browser today.
I actually don't agree that save to home screen is something that's important. If you take a look at a web app today, I look at it as a bookmark. So the browser is just the shell that actually runs that application inside of it. The browser is the platform. So having it save as an icon to your home screen. I don't find that much value in it. I actually think the trend that I would like to see web applications go is just a bookmark. So.
It's funny though that the web, the bookmark hasn't been, it seems like that successful. In the early days of the web, we had Yahoo, it was a search listing, taxonomy of links and sites, and it seems like until Google came along and where you could, I don't even type in the bookmark, but I don't even type URLs anymore. I just type it into Google, at least on the desktop web.
You're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
You Google Yahoo.
I just Google Yahoo and it comes up. I don't Google Yahoo. But I Google Walmart. Okay. But, so I think of it, sort of the home screen or, the App Store is becoming that sort of next experience. It's not the best experience. It has its own flaws, I think. So I think there's some sort of discovery mechanism or search
I wanted to ask you guys about that. So David, you were talking about how, you think it's a big deal that we have this app shortcut. Abe, you sort of said the opposite.
Yeah.
And Andres, you spent a lot of time sort of making it so that web apps can be distributed as an app. Putting the technology discussion to the side for a minute, how big a deal is it that we expose websites through the App Store? Do you think that that's the primary way that users are discovering experiences now? Or do you think if you just put up a mobile website, people will find it in Google and they don't need to be distributed to the app channel?
To me, I mean, especially on mobile, it's actually more so on mobile than desktop. That's what users think apps are. Rightfully so, because they go to the App Store and they get them. The alternative is a cool ideal. It's the Chromebook, right? It's you launch the computer and your browser opens and that's all you have. And that I think we're far way away from.